overcomers. We must live in victory rather than give in to defeat. So again, welcome to the second part of our conference today. So for the first talk, or for the first presenter, we've got a very interesting topic. And it's very special because they are a team. They are a team. So before they're going to present their presentation, I would like them to please introduce themselves. Can I ask professors? We've got two professors here. Professor Hiroko Arao from Mie University. I hope I pronounced the word Mie correctly. And then we also have Assistant Professor Maiko Kimura from Mukogawa Women's University. Professor Professor Hiroko Arao teaches English and methodology of teaching English in Mie University in Japan. She majors in EFL teaching and learning, and her special interest is learners' affective factors. Also, she's interested in how dyslexia students develop their reading skills. Assistant Professor Maiko Kimura also teaches English as a general education subject, and her main interest lies into vocabulary acquisition of college-level students. Their first presentation is on multisensory approach to teaching reading and writing for young EFL learners. Oh, their microphone is not working. It's okay, Professor, it's okay. We totally understand. Okay, so we will just play, I guess we will just play the recorded video that they have submitted.
Hello, this is Hiroko Arao from Mie University. The co-presenter is Maiko Kimura from Mukogawa Women's University, Japan. Today, we'd like to give a presentation on our study, Multisensory Approach to Teaching Reading and Writing for Young EFL Learners. So, before getting into the content, I'd like to walk you through the outline. Background of study, difficulties in reading and writing for Japanese EFL learners, phonological deficit, writing system in Japanese, solution to the difficulties, learning style, tactile learning, using ICT and tactile sense. Please let me start with the background of this study. Teaching English was officially introduced as a part of curriculum in 2011. It was named Foreign Language Activities instead of English, in which students get familiar with English sounds through speaking and listening. It was only 5th and 6th year students aged from 11 to 12. In new curriculum starting in 2020, teaching English for 5th and 6th year students is a subject called English, not foreign language activities anymore. There, students learn 4 skills, reading and writing, in addition to speaking and listening. The number of classes doubled to classes a week. Foreign language activities are now for the 3rd and 4th year students. So this is how teaching English reading and writing to elementary school students became issues and came to get attention from many researchers and teachers in Japan. It is very important for us to explore appropriate teaching ways of reading and writing for young learners of English. Before 2020, reading and writing in English were taught only for the first year of junior high students. English teachers and junior high school students have been struggling with students who first started learning written English and had difficulties and problems in reading and writing. It has been very common to hear that some students just don't recognize words in alphabetical letters, or some students terribly stutter in pronouncing English words in text, or they never remember how to read alphabets. It is quite understandable how difficult it is to learn reading and writing in foreign language. However, it seems that some students just cannot learn how to read and write even when they try hard. Furthermore, what made the English teacher puzzled was that those students do not have any problems in reading and writing in Japanese. Weidel explains the cause of developmental phonological deficit in English. The phonological deficit is particularly in evidence in English, where orthographic system is quasi-regular, and the learning of complex orthographic to phonological mapping is taxing even for normal readers. As an example, she listed EA in bead and need versus bread and head. Because of orthographic system in English, reading and writing by matching sounds and letters can be difficult even for native speakers of English who are familiar with English sounds. To understand the difficulty of reading and writing in English for Japanese learners, I'd like to briefly introduce Japanese writing system. You have three scripts: kana, hiragana, and kanji. Kana and hiragana are logographic. Hiragana is used for function words, inflection of verb, adjectives, and adverbs. Kana is used for foreign loan words. Kanji is used for nouns, the root of morphemes of inflected verbs. In letter type, there are phonogram and ideogram. Japanese kana and hiragana fall into phonogram based on syllable unit, syllabary, while alphabet is categorized into segmental in the same phonogram. Kana and hiragana have perfect one-on-one relation between character and its sound. That makes Japanese learners of English confused in reading alphabet because phonemes depend on the location within the word. For example, A can be pronounced A in cat, but A in take. One letter does not correspond with one sound. Let me summarize the difficulties in English reading and writing for Japanese EFL learners with the previous facts in mind. First, they have phonological challenges because of limited phonological exposure to English sounds and difference in letter sound correspondence between English and Japanese writing. Second, they have visual challenges because of limited visual exposure to alphabetical words in everyday life and limitation in sight reading, which is habitually used in Chinese character. Third, They have semantic challenges because of unstable memory of English words in terms of meaning, sounds, and spellings. It's very important to know that the problem is dyslexic inclination can be supported by considering each individual learning style. Cassidy suggests that an individual learning style is determined by the way in which he or she responds to a given learning opportunity. Many different research adopt different frameworks to explain learning style. One of the well-known researchers in this field is Gardner. Gardner 1993 proposed that all humans have 7 different types of intelligences that reflect different ways of interacting with the world. These 7 intelligences are linguistic, visual, spatial, logical, mathematical, musical, bodily kinesthetic, interpersonal, and interpersonal. Later, in 1999, he added naturalistic intelligence. I investigated how much these multiple intelligences are used in activities for learning English for elementary school students. I investigated 50 different activities suggested for English teachers in elementary school in Japan. As you see, since it is for language classes, linguistic intelligence is most involved in these activities. It's worth noting that logical, mathematical intelligence are also one of the most utilized ones, followed by visual spatial. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence is also emphasized in many activities for elementary school levels, unlike other EFL classes in higher levels of schools. British Dyslexia Association simplified learning styles by categorizing learners into 3 main learning styles. They are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, including tactile, by answering 12 items such as concentration, way of thinking, conversation, etc. In this study, we based our framework on this simple framework since we just started working on the study. As we go further and find other styles necessary, we go through other styles using different framework. We'd like to raise our awareness to the word tactile, because it is not clearly mentioned in multiple intelligence. What is tactile learning? Virtually everyone learns through the sense of touch, but this is the best continuum, with some learners reporting tactile modality to be somewhat distracting, while others found that it serves as vital role. In fact, over the 20 years as learning specialist and educational therapist, I have found that there are 3 distinct types of tactile learning that should be considered. Among different sensory for learning, kinesthetic sensory sometimes include tactile one, or tactile sensory used as a synonym. This study deals with tactile learning as manually touching learning. The first one is feeling object in the environment. Some students learn best when touching or manipulating objects. I'm sure that many people are familiar with abacus. Some people took a lesson of abacus when they were children, so even after they grown up, when they need to calculate, their fingers move even without abacus in their hands. This kind of things happens to language learners. For instance, if someone asks me the spelling of English words, my fingers move to recall the spelling in mind, even when I don't have a pen in my hand, because this is how I started learning English spelling. The second one is sensing words through a writing instrument. Other learners report that feeling the letters form or typing out ideas can help them to process information. This happens to you when you need to write an essay or paper, but you don't have a clear idea. But once you start typing, you come up with many ideas and start writing fluently with many thoughts. The third one, engaging with sensory gadget for doodling. Still others indicate that fidgeting with tactile toys, sensory tools, and drawing serve as what I like to call handgun. This movement helps some learners focus their attention and keeps them going. Each learner has their own unique learning needs that are honed by both their cognitive makeup and their past learning experiences. Fidget toys are just toys, but for tactile sensory people, they're useful learning tools. We should know exactly what kinesthetic and tactile in reading and writing. In Orton-Gilingham approach, which is used for dyslexia, kinesthetic is large muscle movement. Alphabet is something printed in reading. However, in the process of learning, if students move their bodies in alphabetical shapes, it is not only visual, but kinesthetic experience. Tactile is sensation in the mouth and on the fingertips. If the books have three-dimensional alphabets instead of prints, students can have tactile experience. In writing alphabet in pencil gives you kinesthetic and tactile experience, but also using alphabetical stamps or blocks give you different stimuli. One of the most frequently used way is teaching phonics by using sound tray. As students write in the sun, with their fingers they feel the sound moving to form the letter, which is tactile. The student can see the letter written in the sun, which is visual. They use large movement to write in the sun, which is kinesthetic. They also say the name of the letter and the sound it makes as they write, which is auditory. In Japan, we are likely to depend too much on visual and auditory stimuli in our classroom, so the ways of teaching cannot be appropriate for some students. From 2019, we have a policy called Giga School, School with Global and Innovation Gateway for All, which encourages all the schools to prepare for ICT environment for all the students. So many school teachers are keen to learn to use ICT, which emphasize visual and auditory stimuli. ICT provides students with much information, but not kinesthetic and tactile experience such as handwriting. So we should think about the possibility of using tactile sense through digital device. Today, virtual reality and robotics are developing in its technology. The values are getting attention in many fields, including entertainment, education, manufacturing, medicine, etc. Of course, you as a teacher can create and make use of various kinds of materials and tools the student can actually touch. As ICT advances, however, one tablet is available to each student. So it is worth developing digital materials that can give tactile sense to learners. Well, actually, there's some products which are a combination of digital and analog. There's one maker for teaching material, Osmo. As you know, students visually pay attention to digital device, but at the same time, they actually use their hands to transfer what they see on their screen to how they make and produce by their hands. In addition to combinational method, I'd like to explore a single use of digital device for simple use. Application for Microsoft Garage. Journal was introduced in September of this year. Digital pen is nothing new anymore to most of you, but this pen has tactile signals, offering different vibration of a pen, marker, pencil, and eraser. It also accommodates different kinds of working on the paper like circling or crossing the mistakes. For future material development, I'd like to explore the use of these technologies and study to make the product available in device. We still have a long way to study professional technological knowledge and skills to develop tactile learning materials for reading and writing. However, we believe this is the exciting area to explore in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. I kind of agree with what you've said a while ago, that there might be a possibility of using tactile sense through digital device. So hopefully they can invent this soon, because I was thinking while you were presenting about those tactile learners where they have to touch it, because I guess most students, or probably most especially in the Philippines, they are still on mojos, right? Not unlike in Thailand. For Thailand, we're back to face-to-face. So I'm thinking of those tactile learners on how they are able to read, or on how teachers can help them read without using those kind of senses. So we've still got 4 minutes before 3:30. So if you've got any questions, please ask them, and probably Professor can type her answer in the chat box. Or any inputs, or any similar experience, or any experience teaching learners or young learners. Anyone from the group? Okay, if there are no questions, then probably we should move on to their second presentation. And then probably while you are thinking of questions, maybe you can ask later. Okay, so the second presentation is on teaching English literacy to young children based on the factors of the Orton-Gilingham method. And I believe it would be presented by Assistant Professor Maiko Kimura from Mukogawa Women's University.
Hello, my name is Maiko Kimura from Mukogawa Women's University in Japan, and my co-researcher is Hiroko Arao from Mei University, also in Japan. Today, we'd like to talk about how vocabulary learned in online classes. And today's presentation is a kind of report of our classes conducted during COVID-19 pandemic. Today's we'd like to make a presentation like this order. First, motive of study and purpose of this study, and pilot study. We made several pilot study during the pandemic, so we'd like to share the detailed information about it, and the results, and a little bit of discussion and conclusions. And finally, we'd like to share the information about references. Due to COVID-19, all the classes would go online. I got an email from academic office. It said we would contact you later about the classes more in detail. The second email included a lot of unfamiliar words such as synchronous or asynchronous, MP3, MP4, and convert into videos. I was puzzled and felt even scary. I'm a digital refugee and poor at operating computers, but I had no choice but try. Usually, our academic year in Japan starts in April, but we needed a little time for preparation. So about a month later, our historical new term started in middle of May. During the preparation period, I learned so many things from professors in the Department of Information and Technology. I actually don't remember how I caught up with them. I just did my job to prepare my first online classes. The academic office took a quick survey with our students about their digital status at home, and find out that about 30% were not equipped with their own computers. Some of them share one computer with their family members who were also forced to work from home, study from home. Some could only use their smartphones whose screen were very small for study. So we were strongly suggested to offer classes asynchronously. Some of the students lived by themselves, far away from their parents, and didn't have devices for Wi-Fi. So again, we were strongly suggested to conduct our classes asynchronously. By the way, at my school, the words were unified to live as synchronous classes and on demand as asynchronous classes. On-demand classes would be very difficult for language classes. We need to communicate and interact with each other. How language can be taught? On demand. And how vocabulary can be built on demand. And how the learners maintain their motivation by studying all alone at home. There were the questions we had. We need to find out the ways to live successfully under this new normal. The first thing I tried was Flipgrid. Flipgrid, their slogan is we can interact using video, voice chat, etc. without being together physically. So first, like a couple of times, like 5 times, about 1/3 of the whole semester, the students seem to be enjoying uploading their videos and interact with each other online, and they enjoyed leaving their comments on each other's Flipgrid videos. So the merit of using Flipgrid is that we can communicate easily via recorded video. But of course, there are several demerits, and one of them is students can easily get bored if we use it continuously in class. So we found out that to use Flipgrid during online classes, I think it might be better to make a hybrid class. Sometimes use Flipgrid on demand, and sometimes if possible we can communicate with each other online even without videos might be okay. So just using this Flipgrid application continuously for the whole semester, I can say that students can easily get bored, and their uploading had been delayed little by little. And from now on, we'd like to focus on our today's main theme of our presentation, vocabulary learning. So first, we'd like to share what we used for vocabulary learning in the next slides. In terms of vocabulary learning, we tried 3 different types of applications in the way. One of them is Quizlet. It makes simple learning tools that let the students study anything, flashcards, games, and etc. And the merit is the data can be easily converted between Excel and Quizlet, and the teachers can check students' progress very easily. So this is a very good application for both teachers and students, and about 100 different words I picked up for the class for 15 classes, and I downloaded everything on Excel and I converted the material into the Quizlet, and then the students can use a particular Quizlet creation by using their smartphones quite easily. And it is like the front page is in English and the back side of the card was in Japanese. Now you can see one example on the screen, on the slides. Office worker in Japanese on the right hand side, and then they can click the card, then they can find the next word, and then click the card, and then they can find the Japanese translation and keep going for 100 different vocabularies, and they can check their progress, and the teachers can check their progress. So it is very good application to maintain their motivation. But the merit is of course that the motivation is one point, but the demerit is also the students can easily get bored, because what they have to do is just click the screen and keep going and check their vocabularies, all be done at home by themselves, so the students can easily get bored. So using only one application in the on-demand classes is not a good idea according to what I experienced. So sometimes I use Quizlet, and sometimes I used a different application in a different way. So let me share the information about the next application in the next slide. The second application we used was Kahoot. And the slogan of Kahoot is "Make Learning Awesome." And I do agree with this slogan. They said that they enjoyed doing this Kahoot for their vocabulary learning. And the merit is can be easily connected online live. Actually, we didn't do this online live, because as I already mentioned, we strongly suggested to conduct classes asynchronously. But sometimes the students connect with each other through Line or KakaoTalk or some other materials which are very popular among young students. And the class is exciting and lively, even on demand. Of course, I couldn't see how they enjoyed this Kahoot online, but according to their comments, I could say that they enjoyed this application for their vocabulary learning. And this is the screen of Kahoot, and the left hand side is the teacher screen, and the right hand side is their smartphone screen. So the teacher screen is on the personal computer, so the students can read the question on their computer, and then they can use smartphones to share their answers or replies. And this is one example. The question was, what does novel mean in the novel coronavirus? And as this is a very easy question, so I decided to pick up the right type answer a question. So the players type your answer. So they don't use this multiple choice screen. They are required to type their answers. But if the question is a multiple choice question, then the students are required to choose either red, blue, brown, and green and click the screen. Then their answers is shown on the teacher screen, and then we can share all the screen together if the class went on live. But as our classes are on demand, so they do this at home alone, but sometimes, as I said before, they connect with each other among students, and then they share the information, or they actually try to create a new questions, and some of the students just sent me the new questions. Then for the next class, I actually included some of the questions which students created. So even on demand, we can intercommunicate with each other thanks to this application. And demerit is, I suppose, it depends largely on the class levels. Because the class level is too high, I don't think this is not a good application. Beginners or upper beginners or lower intermediate or intermediate, I think they can enjoy. But for the upper intermediate or advanced level students, I think this is not working quite well, because the level is higher than this type of a game application. So if we use this type of application for advanced level students, we need to do something, create more complicated way of questions. But during this on-demand and pandemic, I used a lot of creations by using this Kahoot. And the third way we used was quick response. This is not an application. This is originally used as a training method for interpreters. Merit is, if I have to say something, it is a kind of traditional, nostalgic handmade test, so probably the students feel a little comfortable and a little calm, I suppose. And the demerit is, indeed, it's time consuming to make. So I would like you to take a look at a little bit of what the quick response on demand is like in the next slides. This is how I conducted this quick response in class. In the regular class, regular face-to-face class, I would say the Japanese vocabulary myself, and then the student standing in front of me give the translation instantly within 2 to 3 seconds. If the students give the translation within 2 to 3 seconds, we can say that those vocabularies are positive vocabulary. But if they fail to translate those vocabularies instantly, their vocabulary is still passive vocabulary. So some of the students remember what they had to say 1 minute later, or sometimes 30 minutes later, but that is too late. So this is a very good style of test to check whether or not their vocabulary is positive or still passive. But as this is an on-demand class, I don't say anything. Very quietly, just press the button, and then the Japanese switch on, and then the students say in front of their screen the English vocabulary. It's like this. Japanese comes up, and then English within 2 to 3 seconds, and the next one, and the answer, next one, the answer, and move on like this. So you can tell that this is a very time-consuming activity. I usually share at least 100 vocabulary with the students depending on the purpose of the classes. This class, the class title is Business English. So some of the vocabulary like president or paid holiday are related to business scenes. But as this is for the freshman class, I included something like freshman, junior, or tuition, or something like that. So they are requested to memorize those vocabularies every week, and in total 100 classes per semester. So I think this might work well if they are highly motivated. But if they don't, they can skip very easily because this is on demand. But I do believe that this works, and this helps the students in many different ways. And after the first semester, we took a questionnaire about those 3 vocabulary trials. For freshmen, quick response comes first, then Quizlet and Kahoot. This is the sort by popularity. A sophomore, the order is Quizlet, Kahoot, and quick response. And the juniors, Kahoot, Quizlet, and quick response. And for seniors, Kahoot, quick response, and Quizlet. We presume that this is partly because the fact that freshmen don't know each other and never met in person in class. Kahoot type of intercommunication activity didn't seem to attract them. On the other hand, juniors and seniors, as they know each other and already have friends on campus, they seem to enjoy the intercommunication activity rather than quick response type of study by oneself's activity. And what was the biggest issue of on-demand language classes? I think that's evaluation. So in the next slide, I'd like to share a little bit about evaluation. I used Google Form test and limit the test that the students try and submit only one time, and the time duration is also limited. However, of course they could do cheating if they want. So the point is belief in mankind as fundamentally good. And quite fortunately, at our university, the students seemed to take the test quite fairly. There were no big difference from the previous year as a result. Previous year, I mean the face-to-face, the regular classes. However, the subjects were not the same, so we didn't do any t-test type of things. And after class, we asked the students to share their comments, and I'd like to share some of them. Student A, She's a senior year student. Thanks to on-demand class, I could study on my own pace. I'm not a multitasking type. I like on-demand English class. This is a positive comment. And student B, she's a junior student. I learned more vocabulary than usual. I like on-demand English class. This is also a positive feedback. And student C, she's a sophomore student. I easily felt lonely. If we had had time to talk live even once, I could have enjoyed the classes more. So this is in between. And student D, she's a freshman student. I wanted to see the teacher's face. Teachers should appear on class slides. For this presentation, I was required to show myself on the slides, so I'm now doing. But as I didn't do this for my on-demand class because I felt a little uneasy to see my face on the slides, but that was my own point of view. So after reading this type of comments, I thought, oh, I should have shown myself on the screen. So this is kind of things what I should done. And student E, she's also a freshman student. The class were all like a corresponding school. If there had not been COVID-19, I could have met classmates and teachers. So this is a kind of negative comment. But due to COVID-19, we have no choice but to try this type of things. But there's no wonder more complaints among freshmen because they started their campus life at home. They had no chance to meet friends or teachers on campus for half a year, 8 months or more. So there's no wonder more complaints among freshmen. And we found both positive and negative points of our online classes. We need to seek a better way which includes both face-to-face and online positive points and create universally accepted college level language classes under new normal. Our time is a little bit extended, sorry, and thank you for listening, and we'd like to finish our presentation here today. And your comments and questions are always welcome. Thank you very much again for listening to our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Maiko, for a very interesting topic on teaching vocabulary to EFL learners. So Professor has mentioned 3 applications that she used in teaching vocabulary to her students. And I guess probably all of these are familiar to us because to me, Kahoot and Quizlet is quite familiar to me. But the last one, was it Quick Response? It's not too familiar with me. I didn't use this in my class. So we've got 9 minutes actually before 2. So let's open this time for sharing. Probably you can also share some applications that you have used when you were teaching online or on demand. Any applications that you have used in teaching vocabulary, or probably others that you can also share to us aside from Kahoot, Quizlet, and Quick Response, or any experience on using this application. Or if you've got any question, just like Professor mentioned a while ago, you are welcome to type them in the chat box. Has any one of you used live worksheets? Live worksheet. Can I type it in the chat box? This is one of the application. Is it an application? Yeah, live worksheets that I usually use in my class. Not even for vocabulary, but also for quizzes or tests. Because in Thailand, we were required to conduct our classes online. So at my school or in my school, we had online classes for around 6 months. And then we started going back to school for face-to-face classes last November 29 for face-to-face. So let me just share this app that I use. It's liveworksheet.com, liveworksheet.com. But probably some of you are familiar with this already, or you've been using this already. There's tutorial there if you can just type there, but you have to make an account. It's easy to navigate. Okay, it looks like also Google form. Any inputs, any sharings, or any applications that you have used that you think are not familiar with us that we can use in our classes, aside from those mentioned a while ago? Professor mentioned a while ago that there is always a possibility of cheating, right? Cheating in class, even if it's on demand or even if it's online, because they're using application for their quizzes and their tests. And she had this statement, or she said this statement a while ago. She said, believe in mankind as fundamentally good. So yeah, for applications that we use, for technologies or applications that we use in class, there's always a possibility of cheating. But I remember Dr. Helmer also mentioned this morning about cheating when it comes to writing, right? At least for writing, probably we can check if it is plagiarized, right? We can check if the output submitted or the input submitted by the students are not their own opinion or their own ideas. But for tests sometimes, because this is for live worksheet, I have doubts actually if the students answered the questions by themselves. So there's always a possibility of cheating, or there's a possibility that the student is not the one answering the questions or the test or the exam. So that's it for our first two sessions for today. Thank you again, Professor Maiko and Professor Hiroko from Japan. So let's move on to the third presentation for today. Okay, so for our third presentation, it will be presented by Dr. Melvin, and he is teaching in one of the schools here in Thailand. His presentation is on students' English communication skills relative to Thailand Ordinary National Educational Test, or ONET. Is Dr. Melvin in? So we will be watching, or we will be listening to a recorded video from Dr. Melvin.
Good day, everyone. to all the participants and organizers of this international conference, 15th TEFL International Conference. A pleasant day to all of you. I am Mr. Melvin Calixton, a foreign teacher in Sakolrajwittayanukul School, Sakonnakhon Province, Thailand. I'm very grateful and honored that I'm given this opportunity to present my study in international setting. My study is entitled Students' English Communication Skills Relative to Thailand's Ordinary National Educational Test, or ONET. So communication skills have been widely recognized as fundamental skills to further learning. To become an effective communicator, one should possess broad knowledge of the language, wide and rich vocabularies, and logical skills to understand ideas which are delivered through text, voice, cues, and etc. So generally, different countries take English as one of the important languages to learn. Apart from each country's first language, English is encouraged to be studied and mastered. Thus, most of the countries, if not all, include English on their curriculum. So English, as one of the subjects taught in Thailand, is measured through a standardized test called Ordinary National Educational Test, or commonly known as ONET. On the recent exam results, so Matheum 3 students got 33.25 mean percentage score in English, comprising the language communication skills, which was described as fairly satisfactory based on the National Institute of Educational Testing Service in 2019. Now, looking at the context of English proficiency in the country in general, the country's English proficiency ranking among non-native English-speaking countries has fallen down for years. Recent results revealed that Thailand placed 100th out of 112 countries as evaluated by the Swiss-based Education First. The country scored 419, which is considered very low proficiency. Speaking of the regional performances, accordingly, people in Thailand's central and northern regions have a higher proficiency than their neighbors in the northeastern and the south, with Bangkok as the most proficient in English, followed by Nonthaburi, Chiang Mai, Chonburi, and Khon Kaen. This is based on ThaiPBS.com in 2019. Now, given the aforementioned insights, no data to date can enlighten how the students from Sakonnakhon, actually Sakonnakhon is part of the northeastern region, or most commonly known as Isan region in Thailand. So particularly in Sakolrajwittayanukul schools, the students in our school are performing with respect to their English communication proficiency. So this actually led me to investigate on how are they performing, what is their performance in the school relative to the performances of the average schools in Thailand. So this research is supposed to find out the comparison of performances between our school and the hypothesized population mean, or the average score of the average school in Thailand when it comes to English achievement. Thus, it is hoped that the findings would shed some light on how the school will monitor, evaluate, and create planning adjustment that concerns the students' language communication achievement. So this research study aimed to determine the Matheum 3 students' English communication skills or achievement relative to the performance of the average schools in Thailand. Specifically, this study answered the following questions. First, what is the level of English achievement of the Matheum 3 students based on their ONET result for academic year 2019? Second, what is the profile of the communication skills of the students? Third, what is the level of English language achievement of the students in terms of English grammar, listening and speaking, reading and writing. 4, is there a significant difference in the performance between the Matayum 3 students and the average schools in Thailand based on their ONET results? And the last is there a significant relationship between the communication skills and the English language achievement of the students? So this study employed the descriptive correlational methods of research. It enabled the researcher to collect and describe a variety of data related to English communication skills. It described the performances of the students and eventually compared them to the hypothesized population mean. Thereby, it could be determined if the students' performances are significantly different from the average schools in the country or otherwise. So this study employed the purposive sampling. The respondents of this study were the Matayum 3 students. And there are 4 sets of respondents coming from the different programs implemented in school. It comprises the English program, science, mathematics, technology, engineering, the computer science, and the regular program. So there are 127 students who serve as the respondents of the study. So basically, the study used questionnaires in gathering data and those secondary data available in school. For the results, so this study would like to find out the achievement of Matayum 3 students in English based on their ONET test. So table 1 shows the result. Data revealed that the Matayum 3 students perform better than the average schools in the country, having a mean difference of 12.77% mean percentage score. This result indicates that the English language instruction are kind of well in place in school. Also, the study sought to find out the profile of the communication skills of the students. So results show that the students generally have high observance of their communication skills. This follows that they agree to work on their vocabularies more, feeling comfortable speaking with their mother tongue than English, have to repeat sentences which people don't understand, having difficulty putting thoughts into words, and to translate their thoughts first before actually speaking them. So this only suggests that students still find it difficult to communicate because of their lack of vocabulary and being not so comfortable of using English on a daily basis. So this study also aimed to determine the students' language achievement as measured by their English achievement in school. So data reveal that students are very good when it comes to speaking and listening, reading and writing, but they also perform good when it comes to grammar. So generally, students are doing well when it comes to English language subject. This study also wanted to find out the performances of the students across all programs implemented in school based on their own results and as compared to the national average score or national rating. So based on the computed results, it revealed that there are significant differences in the performances of the school curriculum programs in school and the ONET score on English language. This led to the rejection of the null hypothesis since all p-values are less than 0.05. To understand it further, the following table is the comparative of the mean scores of the school curriculum programs and the ONET score. So among the programs, the science, mathematics, technology, engineering has gained the highest mean score, followed by the English program, computer science, and the regular. So generally, all of the mean scores are greater than the national ONET score. So this study also determined the relationship between the students' communication skills and their language achievement in school. And this table shows the result based on the data shown. The p-value 0.30 is less than 0.05, which means that there is a significant relationship between the students' communication skills and their language performance in school. This implies that if the students have high observance of their communication skills and recognize their flaws that they need to improve, the better performance they can achieve on their English language subject. Furthermore, this result also directed the researcher to reject the null hypothesis that says that there is no significant relationship between the two. So based on the findings of the study, the following conclusions are drawn. The school is implementing the curriculum standards and contents for English language very well. Second, the students are aware of their weaknesses when it comes to their English communication skills. Third, the students are able to achieve the curriculum content standards of the English language set by the school. And fourth, generally the students in Sakolrajwittayanukul school perform better than the average schools in Thailand. And lastly, the more the students recognize their English communication skills, the more it can influence their language achievement in school. So based on the conclusions drawn out of the study, the following recommendations are given. First, the school should look into the students' performance in ONET and keep track with the language skills that are still least mastered by the students. Second, the teachers and the school should take into considerations the profile of communication skills of the students and help them improve their confidence to talk and to use English language as a tool for communication. Third, the school and the teacher should balance their instructions with the macro skills of communication and the grammar. Fourth, research on other ONET skills should also be conducted to see how the students perform with the other subject. And the last, the school should maintain and improve the English language programs and policies to encourage students to progress with their communication skills. And that ends my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, so that's Dr. Melvin's research with regards to ONET in Thailand. ONET. Matayum 3 is grade 9, for those who are not familiar with the term. Matayum 3 is grade 9 and Matayum 6 is grade 12, because he mentioned that a while ago. So grade 9, so this is the test taken by grade 9 and grade 12 students in Thailand. So ONET is called Ordinary National Educational Test. So if you have any questions with regards to Dr. Melvin's presentation, you can type it in the chat box and then probably we can send it to him and then we can give the answer back to you. Okay, we've got time. Let's have a break. Let's have a KitKat. So let's have a break and then we'll be back for the next presentation at 2:30 in Thailand. Probably in the Philippines, it's 3:30, right? So we have how many minutes before 2:30? 18? Yes, 18 minutes. We'll be back in 18 minutes for the next presentation. See you later, everyone. Thank you so much for your attention a while ago. Okay.
Those who might not know, I may say that this is the biggest inter and multidisciplinary university in Vietnam currently. And the school that I'm working at, the University of Languages and International Studies, as you see on the screen right now, is one of the member university in Vietnam National University. And my school has, this is the image, the most updated image of our university at the COVID-19 pandemic. You see no students there, right? And my university provides various academic programs. And among those, we have three biggest pillars, including international studies, English teacher education, and translator and interpreter training. I'm not sure about our presenters and their universities, whether they have the translator and interpreter training discipline or not, but I would love to share from my experience in today's conference. So now I'd like to share with you one of my recent studies on mock conference with real-life participants model as the cross-disciplinary approach in simultaneous interpreter training. You know, the translator training programs in our school provide different courses in both translation and interpreting. Sometimes we call translators and translation in general, but actually we have different courses on both translation and interpreting. Specifically, we also have the course called Conference Interpreting, which is deemed as the most advanced and challenging course for fourth-year students, even though the students can pass the very strict entry requirement for the course, they are still scared of the course. Simultaneous interpreting, as you might know, it is undeniably the demanding mode of translation, and the training process accordingly requires very intensive practical training activities. In my school, the social constructivist approach has been engraved in the curriculum. So our course designers try their best to create the as authentic as possible learning tasks, which has been carried out for several years by mock, and among those learning tasks and activities, we have the so-called mock conference integrated throughout the course, which has been carried out for several years. And by mock conference here, I mean the students are required to play the roles of the international conference participants. And the conference also involved the interpreters, the simultaneous interpreters, doing the task of translating from one language to the other. And in this case, it is Vietnamese into English and vice versa. But students' feedback have shown that the learning tasks are not as authentic as they expected, because what they did was imitating or role-playing only. So they preferred something like real-world situations to enjoy. That is the reason why I decided to have a go at the new model called mock conference with real-life participants. It is just an attempt to satisfy learners' need and also to give them the more authentic, more real-world situation in their training process. So let me give you a very brief description of the model. Within the course named Conference Interpreting, as I said earlier, one class of 4 fourth-year students majoring in translation are required to organize a small-scale international conference, which may involve 50 to 70 participants. And to complete the task, the students would have to divide themselves into 3 big groups. So I may highlight this point. Normally in my university, for a normal English class, we often have a class size of 25 students, which is the ideal number to organize both individual or group activities. So this class, the class in my study, has 26 students, and they divided themselves into 3 big groups, including the organizers, the simultaneous interpreters, and the audience, which include reporters from news agency, invited participants to the conference. So that is the first part of the model, which is quite similar to the traditional one. However, the second part, the real-life participant here, include the 2 guest speakers. One speaks Vietnamese and the other speaks English. They have relevant background to the conference theme. Before the hit of the pandemic, we organized on-site conference for students to practice, and we have invited speakers who are English speakers as well, and they were experts working in our university as lecturers or collaborators. However, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the source of English speakers, as required, had to be much more flexible, and we would invite speakers outside Vietnam, like from Belgium or New Zealand, to join the Zoom meeting and via virtual conference like this now. For me, this is the most, fantastic merit of COVID-19, because it brought us the opportunity beyond geographical border. And the last group of participants include the audiences, the lecturers, students from other classes. They want to join our conference, or the audience can be any friends, colleagues from my students, and even from mine, as long as they are interested in the topic. And the pictures show the page, the pen page of the conference that the student designed by themselves. They create the content, they make the communication plan, they invited the speaker, they do everything by themselves as the organizers. So referring to this one is we have at least 2 conferences with 2 different themes. The first one is about lecturers' mental well-being in the COVID-19 pandemic, enhancing the resilience. And the second one is the conference on English-Vietnamese code switching, a multi-dimensional perspective after some kind of scandals in Vietnam about the celebrities speaking Vietnamese, but adding too many English words in their conversations. So we organized such kind of updated conference. So referring to the theme of GEM TEFL conference this year, I believe that one of the keywords is cross-disciplinary. So here in this part, I'd like to highlight how the cross-disciplinary approach has been integrated in this study. And specifically in my learning activity model, the cross-disciplinary approach is a holistic learning approach best suitable for lifelong learners, and it enables students to apply knowledge broadly and view things from multiple perspectives as solutions to one problem delay within one discipline. So in the mock conference with real-life participant model that I'm presenting now, firstly, the guest speakers have various backgrounds other than education. For example, within the conference that I have mentioned earlier about lecturers' well-being during the COVID-19 pandemic, the speakers invited into the conference include not only the educators, the lecturers, but also the psychologists who speak Vietnamese and even other audiences who care about the topic. For example, the parents of some students in my class. And secondly, the audiences from different fields. They have different academic background and even with different language proficiency in both English and Vietnamese. For example, in the second conference, many audiences come from other faculties and departments in our university, like the French or Russian departments, which means that they couldn't understand English at all. That is the reason why they have to call for the support from the simultaneous interpreters, which is naturally suited to our objectives in the course. And thirdly, the learning activities involve different academic disciplines other than interpreter training. One of the greatest parts of the model is that our students could expose themselves to various tasks. For example, those who take the role of the organizing committee admitted that they could be very excellent at content creator or graphic designer or technical supporter. So these are the things that they could discover by themselves while they are completing the task rather than being taught by lecturers as usual. So it can be seen that the learning model could encourage my students to be more creative, more proactive, and it pushes them to think outside the box. And after 2 semesters piloting the model, I've collected some feedback from the stakeholders, including both students and the participants in the conference. So responses from questionnaires and interviews accompanied by my observation, my classroom observation, have highlighted some results for my studies as follow. The first result is that students highly appreciate the authenticity of the learning task for them as interpreter trainees. And the second one is that they enjoyed the multidisciplinary experience that they have experienced during the course and during different tasks related to conference organization. But of course, challenges are inevitable. For example, classroom management, especially on a virtual platform, seems the most aching issue. Not only the internet connection, but how to run the interpretation function on Zoom properly is a big task for all the students. Our conference today is a kind of monolingual one, right? Because most of us, all of us speak English. However, in the model that we were piloting, the audiences, the speakers have different language performance. Some speak Vietnamese and the others use English. And the bridge between them was my students as the simultaneous interpreters. So we have to use the Zoom account with interpretation function and how to use them and operate them properly was a very big task, not only for me first as the guides, but also for our students. And also the second one is about financial support, or I think that better financial support should be provided as a source of funding for such kind of conference organization, even though it is just a small scale one and organized by students within the official academic curriculum. Currently, the school, my school has a kind of administrative policy to support students' learning activities, and they always encourage students to experience such kind of learning by doing activities. So with such kind of conference organization, we could have some budget, like for inviting speakers, for organizing for the logistics activities, but in fact, it is quite limited. So financial support is the second challenge. Also, the availability of the invited speakers is an issue for consideration, because the students as organizers must work very closely on the agenda for the conference, and they must be very adaptive for any unexpected changes from the presenters. You know, we have a list of expected guest speakers. However, some of them were busy, the other may have problem with the health. So the students themselves had to adapt to the changes. That is the reason why sometimes the speaker's availability may hinder the smoothness of the whole process. Those are the key results from my observation, from my questionnaires and interviews with both students and some conference participants after the two period, the 2 semester piloting such kind of model. Okay, so these are some key, some highlights of my recent study about mock conference with real-life participant models as a cross-disciplinary approach in simultaneous interpreter training. And I'd like to listen to your comments, feedback, or any questions will be welcomed. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nhan, for a very interesting presentation. And your topic actually is quite interesting. She opened already for comments or any question. Ma'am Michelle already, I guess, has a question.
Yeah, actually, I'm very impressed with the strategy, but I just wanted to know, so how do you now provide feedback for the performance of the students in terms of their interpretations?
Okay, thank you, Michelle. I have just read some messages from our participants that they cannot see my slide, right? Oh, it's a pity that. But thank you, Michelle, for your question involving the evaluation of students' performance, right? You mean how can the teachers evaluate students' performance based on the participants' feedback, or you mean the evaluation that the teachers made by themselves?
I'm referring to the teacher evaluation.
Well, actually, me as the lecturer of the class at that time, I also joined the conference as a participant. I required the students, the organizers, to record the Zoom conference at that time in 2 different channels, the channels for speaker and the channels for interpreters. Actually, Zoom conference has such kind of function. So during the class time, the conference were taking place, I will work as the audience and I just listen to the English speakers. But then at home, I will choose the channel on the simultaneous performance, the interpreter's performance. So I will evaluate based on 2 different channels.
Okay, and I have a follow-up question, sorry. I know that you are coming up with different topics, right? So in terms of your students' ability to do live interpretation, which kind of, let's say, subject areas or topics makes it more difficult for them to do live interpretation?
Yes, it is a very interesting and intriguing questions as well. When I asked them, actually, the requirements of the course said that the students must choose the topic by themselves based on their expertise. They are now fourth-year students. They have very advanced English proficiency, which is at least C1. And they also have such kind of, they have experienced some specialized courses in translation and interpreting, centering around some key issues like economics, general economics, or culture or psychology. However, when it came to the selection of their topic, all the students will will post on the group several topics available, and they will vote for the most agreed, most enjoyed subject. And finally, the organizer will select the number one voted topic.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I mean, at that time, I just worked as a supporter, the guideline of the whole process. Everything was made by my students.
Okay,
thank you so much. and really sorry that I couldn't share the screen during my presentation.
It's okay, Ms. Nhan, you did it well. Even without the slide, even if what we saw was the first slide, you explained it well, actually. I also have a question because when you were presenting this one, I am planning probably to adapt this one in my listening and speaking class, but for high school students. So I would like to know what the prior preparation that you did before the conference and the time frame. Did it took you a month to prepare the students?
Yeah.
Because for me, there's a book that we follow, right? So I cannot just insert any activity that actually doesn't cover up the topics in the book. So I would like to know the time preparation and what are the preparation that you did before the mock conference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Eunice. I hope that I pronounced the name properly. Well, actually, for me and my students, the preparation process seems the most critical one, and they agreed that preparation accounts for more than 70% of the success. So during the course, we have 2 mini conferences because we have, as I said, we have more than 20 students, and all of them must play the role of the interpreter, right? So that I can evaluate and give the scores for them. So we have 2 mini conferences during 15 weeks per one semester. And the first one will take place in the 7th or 8th week, which means that from the day they were announced about the preparation until the D-Day, they will have more than 1 month to prepare. So the preparation consists of not only selection of the topic, but the whole process of communication plans on Facebook, on their fan page, and even the connection with the speakers, the exchange information, and then the attraction from audiences. They have to call for interaction and connection with as many people as possible. So it takes around at least 1 month for one mini conference.
Okay, thank you. So probably for high school students, because I'm teaching high school students, so probably for university students, and they are in C1 level, right? So maybe to me, this will take 2 months of preparation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, much more financial support if they are high school students. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Nhan. Any other questions? Or probably any other inputs? Maybe one of you or some of you did this also in your classes.
Thank you for your attention and your support. Thank you, Andy, as well.
So probably Sir Wilbert accidentally unmuted himself. Okay, so probably if you have any questions, and maybe if you don't want to ask your questions here, maybe you can send a message to Miss Nhan. Oh, by the way, I'm actually curious on how you really pronounce your name, so I'm only addressing you as Miss Nhan.
Actually, you are excellent at pronouncing Vietnamese name. My name is not easy to have the correct one, but you said Miss Nhan, and it's actually my name. Thank you.
Oh, I see. Okay, so thank you so much. Also, you've mentioned a while ago you've been thanking the organizing committee of TEFL, but also to me as one of the members or one of the officers of this organization, it's because also of your presence, you presenters and speakers. That's why this has been going on for actually years. So thank you also so much for your support. So I guess there are no more questions. Again, thank you so much, Ms. Nhan.
Thank you, ULIS.
It's done. Yeah, thank you so much. So again, if you have some questions, you can directly send her a message. Or maybe if you can post your email address in the chat box where they can send you an email.
Oh, yes, sure.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, please reach me at the email. I will send you by the chat box. Thank you so much for your attention and your questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I guess it's now time to move on to our second topic, or not the second topic, sorry, our next topic for this afternoon. Okay, so let me see first, because there's an updated schedule, updated timetable. Okay, so our next topic for today is on status and prospects towards enhancing the work immersion program for technical vocational livelihood of New Cabalan Senior High School, which will be presented by Mr. Wilbert C. Venzon. So Sir Wilbert is with us today. So I would like you to please give us a brief introduction of yourself. Oh, we have a recorded video of him already.
Can I speak now? Sawadee Bye. Good afternoon, everyone. Sawadee. My name is Wilbert Venzon from New Cabalan Senior High School. Thank you for including me in today's event as research presenter. And today, my research presentation will highlight on the status and prospects towards enhancing the work immersion program for technical vocational livelihood of New Cabalan Senior High School. And as an immersion teacher, it is my desire to know the status of our immersion learners and to create development program for our grade 12 learners to prepare them on their future job deployment. As stipulated in Depth Order number 30, series of 2017, which is the guidelines for work immersion, and Depth Order number 39, series of 2018, which is the clarification and additional information to the previous order, wherein work immersion is a requirement for graduation and should provide senior high school learners with opportunities to become familiar with the workplace, simulate employment, and to apply their experiences, the competencies in area of their specialization. So TEFL recognizes other options that may equally prepare learners for all curriculum exits. And this work immersion program is an 80 hours actual work experience setting to enrich their competencies that was provided by the school. According to Bowman, Brander, Berger, Meek, and Smidley in 2010, they conducted one of the few quantitative studies using questionnaires to show that well-structured immersion experiences can positively influence senior high school students' attitudes and understanding of actual work, even suggested that immersion can be as effective, impactful than traditional semester-long classes. So the main purpose of this study is to evaluate the work performance of my 113 TBL deployed immersion students. And in this regard, the researcher constructed instrument connected with the main objective, and it contains 3 parts. First is to seek information about the traits of the students. This will be made by listing all possible traits of the respondents. Then second is to determine the immersion procedure in every school and the improvement of work performance of the students, which includes statements of the immersion procedure and work performances. And then third is to determine the level of performance of the students. Now, for this study, this is to evaluate and assess the work immersion performance of grade 12 students enrolled in Technical Vocational Livelihood Strand at Cabalan Senior High School in Olongapo City, Philippines. Specifically, this study will answer the following questions. Number 1, what qualifications do respondents possess prior to work immersion? Then 2, what type of industries do respondents choose for work immersion? Third, how do respondents describe the work immersion program in terms of the following: work immersion procedures and work immersion activities? Then fourth, what problems do respondents encounter in the work immersion program? And then what improvement plan may be created to enhance work immersion program? So for this study, a quantitative survey method will be used using purposive sampling, as it covers all the students who have characteristics needed in this study. And in conducting my survey, I created online survey questionnaires uploaded in Google Forms to generate results of the study. Now, I find this result with all the answers of the deployed learners. The problems and challenges they noted are divided into 5 categories, and these are the following. Number 1 is the lack of communication skills. Being able to communicate effectively is perhaps the most important of all life skills. It is what enables us to pass information to other people and to understand instruction. And this is the challenge to the learners. As they started working in the actual environment, they lack communication skills. Then the next problem that they encounter is waking up early. In having a new job, it's really exciting, but it can also mean a shift in your regular routine, especially if you commute, if your commute is longer or work begins earlier. So our students' classes starts at 7:30 in the morning. So in many cases, this student cannot perfect its attendance due to coming in their school late. So it becomes a big adjustment for them to report early on their duties, especially if the company they were in operates is 24/7. And many of these work immersion students encounter this adjustment to come to their duties as early as possible. And according to them, it is hard to wake up early, which is true, especially when you love to sleep in the evening and you really woke up early. It's hard for them. And then The third problem that they encounter is experience heavy traffic. So this is the primary cause. They arrive at work late, and if the student could set a time to prepare, an earlier schedule of their departure would be the best way of avoiding traffic. But then this becomes a problem to them. So this way, they could arrive on their duties as early as possible if there's no traffic, but they experience heavy traffic going to their workplace. Because all of our learners coming from the mountains and going to the city is hard, especially if there's no transportation. But then when you go in the city, there's already traffic. And then for fourth problem that they encounter is they don't have enough money for transportation. So for our work immersion students, the provision of having money is one of their encountered problems during their deployment. And according to them, they don't have enough money for transportation because as a student, they are not capable of having money to spend. They are dependent on whatever the family had them to give. Without money, of course, it is impossible for them to travel from their homes to their destinations. And this becomes a problem that causes them not to report on their duties. And last is they experience nothing at all because the result is because of having an orientation in preparation of their deployment, where students are prepared enough to experience the actual job. That's why they did not experience any problem at all. So to improve the work immersion program in our school, I conducted the following activities, like the conduct of English proficiency. So all of our immersion students should enroll in that activity with the help of our language teachers. So we conduct this for them to assist them and to help them so that if they go to work, they are good in communication. Then we also conducted looking for a sponsor to help our learners to their transportation. So we try to look and find transportation allowance that will support them. And then to improve this work immersion program, we also conducted what's called this. We also conducted to be aware, the senior high school students about the problems they may encounter on their work immersion program. So we orient them, and then we give them a lot of information to prepare them for their work immersion deployment. And lastly, we help them to have a job after their graduation. So we also conducted job fair activity every year so that if the students graduated, they could have a sure job when they exit in our school. So that is my research about the status and prospect of our TBL learners in their deployment for work immersion. So if you have questions, you may contact me in my mobile number and my email. It's there. And again, thank you very much. Thank you, TEFL, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Sir Wilbert, on sharing us about the work immersion program of senior high school student in New Cabalan Senior High School.
Yes, thank you.
Any question?
I think they don't have questions.
Or probably they have inputs if some of the attendees here are probably high school students. High school teachers. But I guess most of them are university teachers. Yeah, we have enough time before the last presentation for today, actually. Sir Wilbert, probably you can also, if it's possible, can you type your email address in the chat box?
Sure.
If they have some questions that they cannot say it here, then probably they can send you a message. Thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so let's move on to the last presentation for today. It's a featured talk actually by Dr. Helmer Montejo. Okay, please take it away, sir.
Hello, good afternoon once again, and I'm so happy to be back. I know that it's a long day for all of us, but good thing we're able to make it to the last presentation. I am actually the last presenter today, and I am very excited to present to you because my topic would all be about the effective commitment of English teachers, interweaving of nested emotions. Now, this is very close to my heart because, I was once a teacher working abroad. And effective commitment, as we all know, it is an emotional attachment to the organization. And we are checking on this, and it is very timely for us to check on this because a lot of teachers, not only in the tertiary level, but also in senior high school, in elementary, both public and private schools are actually migrating or they are moving to another country, maybe for some reasons. So that's why we are here together with my team. We are here to present to you the effective commitment of English teachers and interweaving of nested emotion. I think most of you, if not all, you are familiar with EPI. EPI stands for Educational Partners International. It is an exchange visitor program authorized to sponsor teachers for K to 12 placements in different private and public schools and other charter schools in North Carolina, in South Carolina, in Virginia, and Florida. In fact, they are even expanding their presence in different states in the United States of America. And a lot of my friends, 16 of them, were able to get into the program. And in fact, they are working already in the United States of America. Few of them, like 4 of them, just went to the States 2 months ago. So that's why we're checking on this effective commitment because it is very important to know the reason why they are living or why they are staying with the organization or the school that they are working with at the moment. So let me share with you my screen. I know that this is the last presentation, so I will not take much of your time. I will try to make it fast. All right. So I think you're seeing my presentation right now. By the way, I have observed that most of the presenters have uniform, template, and I'm having a different one. So I'm not so sure if there was a standard being being set by TEFL. But anyway, I am using Prezi, so that's why I'm having this kind of presentation. All right. So you already know my name. My name is Helmer, and I'm here to present our research. And not only myself, but I have 4 other researchers with me. And they are Gia Marie Saison, Juliet de la Cruz, Rochelle Montalban, and Grace Bacalso. They are all teaching in Talisay City College. But also our research is covering not only teachers in Talisay City College, but English teachers in both public and private schools within the proximity. Now, again, as what I have discussed this morning, in Talisay, we have 22 barangays, and each barangay, there is an elementary school, senior high school, and high school, junior high school, I mean. So, I will begin my discussion by introducing to you once again our school. We are a locally funded school, tertiary level, and we are offering teacher education program. We are also offering industrial technology program and also hospitality management program. And our teachers, both full-time and part-time, are coming from different sectors. We have teachers coming from industries. We also have teachers coming from DepEd, or the Department of Education here in the Philippines. So let me begin by telling you or sharing with you the words of Vince Lombardi. He said, "The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of the chosen field of endeavor." So this afternoon, I will be discussing again the personal and professional profile of the respondents who were able to gather during the course of the study, the level of effective commitment of the teachers, the faculty development program, and wait. Okay, I'm messing up with my presentation. All right. Okay. And also the reasons of commitment to their schools and expectations as teachers in the new normal. So those are the things I'm going to discuss today. So let me begin. 86 committed English teachers in Talisay City College and neighboring private and public schools always put their students' wants, needs, and interests first. These instructors or teachers meet the needs of each individual learner by providing a variety of unique teaching methods and techniques. They strive to motivate and engage students, and they understand that not every learner will learn the same way. Notably, the statement, "I am proud to tell others that I am part of this organization," got the highest mean of 3.95, followed by the statement, "For me, this is the best of all possible organizations for which to work," with a mean of 3.94. The result implies that English teachers are really proud of their schools and considered the institution as the best. Now, for the results and discussion. So again, as what I have promised, it's going to be very fast. Most of the teachers are considered young, and they are aged 21 to 50. But the most number of the 86 respondents fall below 40. So that's the result. According to Koij et al. 2010, on the research on the relationship between high commitment human resource HR practices and work-related outcomes at the individual level, the availability of high commitment HR practices and effective commitment and job satisfaction change with age. And it is really true. I can exemplify myself. You know, as I grow older, my commitment to an institution changes as well. You know, it changed with the way I grow up, the way I age, and so on. Now, when it comes to the personal profile gender, 45 of the respondents are female. We all know that teachers are female-dominated course or profession. So it is no surprise that females are outnumbering males in this study. In 2017, Dirk Van Dam, the head of the Innovation and Measuring Progress Division, Directorate for Education and Skills of Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, revealed that a share of women in the teaching force is growing in numbers. So when it comes to civil status, okay, 46 were single and 40 were married. According to John Eaves in 2018, in his article titled, "Is Getting Married or Staying Single More Advantageous to Career Success?" Unmarried professionals or singles, specifically those without children, have more time to dedicate themselves physically and mentally to grow professionally. As to the highest educational attainment, only 5 were able to finish their doctorate degree, and then 7 are still on their way to finish their doctorate degrees, 15 with master's units, 19 already done with their master's degree, and 40 are still in their bachelor's degree. Vista College in 2019 stressed the importance of higher education, which can lead to many benefits, including a prosperous career and financial security. With the rising competition when it comes to career option, failure to further education will not give you a broad range of skills that will allow you to qualify for a wider range of career choices that may not be your field, but offers more room for advancement. So as to the relevant trainings, of course, we all know that teachers here in the Philippines undergo several trainings. So most of them, they're having more than 4 trainings, more than 6 trainings, even up to more than 7 trainings. So they are well trained. According to Conference Monkey Team 2018, seminars and trainings are an important part of academic life and can change your personal life. For instance, you will get to know other people in your field, which will open doors to networking and establishing linkages that may benefit you and the school you work with. Also, Roverosa B. Felipe 2013 stressed on the importance of attendance to any seminar or training in order to create a learning environment that is effective, improve teaching learning situations where teachers and students alike can function fully, keep updated modern instructional device in the delivery of lessons, and inspire teachers to become better in their field. Now, this is really true. In fact, even here in Talisay City College, during the pandemic, teachers are required to attend webinars, trainings, symposium, even if it's online. So that's why training is very important. As to the length of service, surprisingly, I don't know if it's a surprise, most of the teachers, they stayed in their schools for more than 15 years, for more than 18 years. And according to Pnell and Polodsky 2016, emphasized the importance of experience in increasing the effectiveness of teachers. As teachers gain experience, their students are likely to become better, not just in test scores, but also school attendance. The impact goes beyond academic, since it teaches students some life skills as well. Scholarly Strategy Network 2013 discussed the importance of experienced teachers and how they matter in raising student achievement. Moreover, experienced teachers do better as they progress in strengthening education in so many ways, like reducing students' absences and encouraging students to read for recreational purposes, not just within the classroom, but outside as well. And I know that all of us will agree on this. When it comes to the affective commitment, now this is the highlight of my study. When it comes to affective commitment, I am using actually the Organizational Commitment Questionnaire, or the OCD, which is a 15-item questionnaire that measures the degree of involvement respondents have in their organization. This questionnaire measures the affective commitment of teachers towards the organization and their work. This study used the 9-item version that Mode in 1979 and colleagues used for their occupational groups. This was to simplify the study by taking down the negatively phrased and reverse scored items. The items that were taken down were the following: I feel very little loyal to this organization. I could not just well be working for a different organization. It would take very little change in my present circumstances. There's not too much to be gained by sticking with this organization. Often I find it difficult to agree with the organization, and then deciding to work for this organization was a definite mistake on my part. So these items were actually taken, and we only retained 9 because these 9 are positively stated. All right. So as you can see the result, the highest mean is 3.95. I am proud to tell others that I am part of this organization, which is followed by 3.94. For me, this is the best of all possible organizations for which to work. Now, according to the result supports the study of Gleason and Durick in 1988, and the characteristics of the job, the organization, and the worker affecting job satisfaction and organizational commitment, where leadership and organizational age were found to be predictors of organizational commitment. Moreover, the result supports the findings of Hoy, Tartar, and Bliss in 1990, confirming that schools that are healthy and have a good climate will have committed teachers. And according to Zaltzman in 2009, in his blog said that employees are proud of their organization or company because of effective leadership. If schools would let their teachers know who they are and what their roles are, teachers will feel valued and regarded. By the way, this study uses the triangulation method. We use the triangulation mixed method design, where the qualitative questions were also asked. These methods was used because the researchers, we wanted to validate and expand on the quantitative findings from the survey by including open-ended qualitative questions. During the conduct of research, the researchers collected both types of data within one survey instrument. The qualitative items were used as add-ons to the quantitative survey. In this manner, the items generally did not result in rigorous qualitative data set, but provided the researchers with more interesting codes that were used to validate and embellish the quantitative survey findings. So actually the questions that we were asking, the open-ended, are the following. Number 1, why are you committed to teaching in your current school, and do you plan to stay longer? Second is, what are your expectations as a teacher in the new normal? So that's why if you are going to read the full manuscript of our research. We presented actually the results of the triangulation mixed method design. But since we are only limited to a specific minutes to present, that's why I only said this, in passing. I did not actually flash it on my screen as part of my presentation. So what is our conclusion? Our conclusion is the effective commitment of English teachers toward their school or organization is strengthened, and how the administrators treat all faculty members as his or her equal. A college president or administrators, the principals maybe, needs to be friendly and approachable and should let the teachers know what is expected from them. Administrators must be clear from the very beginning and put suggestions made by the teachers into operation. A perception of unfairness can reverse a positive impact into a negative one. If colleges or any other academic institutions are well able to create a positive institutional climate, instructors will have the sense of pride and tell others about the institution. Moreover, they will find the institution as the best place to work and grow personally and professionally. That is our conclusion. So our recommendations, we have two. Number one, the administration must know very well how to manage the college in order to create an atmosphere of trust and confidence among its teachers. Because if the administration failed to do so, there could be a negative effect on teachers' effective commitment. Innovations and change in terms of organizational structure, personal dealings of employees, specifically teachers, and programs geared towards improvement and enhancement of teachers and the school as a whole must be carried out. Another recommendation would be researchers and future researchers need to further strengthen the study by widening its scope so that it covers a wide view of organizational climate and effective commitment. So that is, my suggestion to those who are planning to do more research on effective commitment, and probably they can include also organizational climate. So what would be our program? We decided to name it Faculty Support 2.0. Now, we just coined this, and we coined this because it sounds great. But actually, faculty support is more on the following. It talks about commitment and responsibility towards employment and services, or in other words, cares. So this program is designed for employees to strengthen their effective commitment on the basis of everyday activities, considering life meaningful, positive self-images, happy and optimistic outlook, and feeling success in achieving goals by providing trainings, seminars, and orientations on commitment and responsibility. This program is expected to add more value and worth to the employment and service of the teachers. So this program actually is designed to make teachers more engaging in supporting school programs and other undertakings. And also, this program is designed to make the school environment more digitized, because this is what we need today. Specifically, that we are in the new normal, we are needing, or we need, the technology in order for us to function very well. In relation to what I have discussed early on, actually, this is what the school needs right now, especially in remote areas, like in the mountain barangays where students are having difficulty in accessing the internet. And also, this program is designed for teachers to become leaders and managers. So that is all about for my presentation. If you have any questions, please do so. Thank you so much for listening. And again, thank you, TEFL, for this opportunity. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Helmer Montejo, for a very timely presentation, or actually a very timely topic. Because especially in today's time, it's very challenging, right? We're living in an interesting era and time. So as Dr. Montejo said a while ago, if you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask them.
Yes, I have a question, Dr. Helmer. It's really exciting to hear about this effective commitment.
Yes.
But one of the challenges I've seen, I mean, usually administration of any educational institution would really work on supporting the teachers, right? In so many ways, like trainings and so. But how do you think things would be addressed? Like, for example, globally speaking, the not really the performance level, but the ability of the students that come to us, let's say in a tertiary level, is not really becoming much better. In fact, it has been declining over the years. But the problem is the expectations of especially if it's a clientele-oriented institution, the focus is the students. But they give us this level of students, but unfortunately the expectation is growing. They want to, of course, meet certain standards specifically for their accreditation purposes, right? And of course, there is this goal about producing graduates at a certain level. But how can we, show support in that area? Because what's given to us sometimes is already very low, but the standard of the courses that are given never changes, and you have to pull them out, I don't know, sometimes from deep sea diving, should I say.
Yeah. Actually, I have research. In fact, it is already published in TESOL International. It's all about the verbal communication and verbal comprehension of selected senior high school or graduated senior high school. The result is not actually good. And, we are actually the receiving end, the tertiary level. We are the receiving end. So the products coming from, high school, both public and private, especially the public schools, are not really that good. In fact, most of the time they disappoint. You know what I mean? They don't actually satisfy the standards that we are supposed to get. So in our school, I am speaking on what we are doing here in Talisay City College. Actually, we tried our very best to only get who fits in by giving them the entrance examination, by setting our own standards. For 2 years now, the school is using ALSAT. I think you're familiar with ALSAT. It is an aptitude test, and we are using that. And also, we are sending our teachers to different trainings as well, because we believe that if teachers are well trained, they can very well share what they have learned from their trainings to their students. So if students are not so good, probably there could be a miracle if teachers are well trained. So that is what we are doing here in Talisay City College. Although there are really those who are underperforming. So for example, we have an option here. We actually give waivers to students for those who are having low grades. And if they cannot reach the minimum average or grade, they cannot continue. They can either choose another major other than education. Why? Why we are doing this? Why are we doing this? It is because education is a board course. And we are also, guarding, or we are also trying to monitor our status when it comes to board passers. Because to be honest, Talisay City College has been awarded by the Commission in Higher Education for producing top-notchers for 5 consecutive years since 2013. And just recently, for the past 3 years, we are not doing that. We are not delivering. So that's why we are guarding, our standards. We are trying our best to really bring back the old glory, as they say. We are doing our best. We are sending our teachers to trainings, even if it's virtual training or seminars. We are doing that as well. In fact, I am very glad that our school is in partnership with TEFL, and that's why we are having this kind of trainings. And what I have learned, or the things that I will be learning from this conference, will also be echoed to the rest of the teachers. So that is what we have been doing. I'm not so sure in public schools, in high schools, because maybe that could be part of our next research. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions that you would like to ask?
I guess there are no more questions coming. All right. So again, thank you so much again, Dr. Montejo, Dr. Helmer Montejo, for opening and closing actually our conference for today. So before you leave, I have some announcement here. It's not yet 4 o'clock, right? But so I have here some announcement for those who are attending the conference tomorrow. We are going to start at 9 o'clock Thailand time. So it's 10 o'clock in the Philippines. 10 o'clock in the Philippines, 9 o'clock here in Thailand. Also, for update for speakers on their bio statement and abstract, please send it to info@gentefl.org for the book of abstract. And after this, I would be, if it's okay, can we all turn on our video so we can take a picture after this? And then the 4th announcement would be, please check our website for more updates and recording. And the 5th one, if the speakers, for our speakers for today, if you need printed certificates, please send your postal address to info@gentefl.org. So again, thank you so much for your presence today. So any words from our president, from the president of GenTEFL, Dr. Andy?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much, all our presenters today. Thank you very much, Dr. Helmer. Thank you very much, all the presenters and all those who have submitted and submitted their video presentations and did it live today. I'm really grateful. We are really grateful, even though it's like a little bit difficult to switch from the planned on-site hybrid conference and then turning back to all online again. It's really crazy in these past 2 days. That's why we are very sorry for the late schedules sent to you and for those mistakes and other typos and everything. So for all of those abstracts sent to you, the schedules and everything, please send us any corrections. If there are corrections, please send us. We will correct them before we finally finalize and publish them in our website. Although it's already in our website, it's not yet the official one. We can still change that until 2 days after the conferences. Thank you very much also for the Gen TEFL teams. Some of them are not here. They're working behind the scenes. They're working with the computers and the internal thing. And thank you also for the partner organizations. I would like to thank the USDF, University of Southern Philippines Foundation. We have Dr. Janet Akana here. We have Dr. Helmer also from Talisay City College. For the other organization, I cannot say anything because they haven't confirmed, so we cannot. We only confirmed and say organizations which confirmed to join in these conferences. So there are many other organizations we are into collaboration with different ones, but we, as we said, according to the MOU, we cannot tell and state their names and use their logos in our websites in any of these conferences without their go signal. So can we have a photo shoot now? Can anyone has a nicer camera for those who have cameras turned on, screenshot. Thank you so much, everyone, and hope to see you again tomorrow. And by the way, if you've seen the abstract, the book of abstracts, we have already their place. Gen TEFL 2022 will be in Macau by December. We don't have yet a specific place, but it will be in Macau. And for our IEDCON, the International Education Conference, that is, if you can see why there are 2 conferences, but one IEDCON is more on different courses, not only concentrating in English subjects. For IEDCON, we integrate all courses, all multidiscipline. And also for our IEDCON, it's more concentration on actually research-based. But for IEDCON, it could be also research-based. It could also be practice-based, or it could be also just thinking ideas that you want to present or you would like to clarify and want to share. That is for the IEDCON. That will be here in Bangkok in May. So, yeah. So I'm doing already the screenshots, others are already doing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you. See you tomorrow and have a nice day. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can everyone please smile?
Hi, Professor. Professor Maiko.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Professor. Ano? Iba ka mga soothing jay voice na. Yeah, dati voice. Katun yun.
Hi.
Oh my God.
Ay, salamat.
Melvin,
Salamat. Mag-record.
Uy, baka dapat yun.
Awan, nagtagalog lang. Ay, wait. It's
record